All right, folks, welcome back. It is Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people just like you right there and just like me right here. Steve Vai has weighed in on the whole AC/DC Axl Rose thing. The rumors are now really starting to fly that it looks as though Angus Young from AC/DC, the only original guy left because everybody is either bankrupt or on some kind of substance or has left planet Earth or can't sing anymore because of hearing loss. It's all about Axl and possibly Angus. So here's the thing. I wouldn't call this AC/DC, and you heard it here first. I coined this term one day and said it to myself and said, you know what? If they were to continue as a unit here, I think they would be better known as Axl DC. All right? Axl DC right there, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Also, Axl Angus might be good. Could be double A, AA for Axl Angus. I think that's kind of catchy. Of course, they're going to keep the AC/DC name because it's a brand, and brands bring money in and just name ID and so forth, and easier for concert promoters and the sellers of tickets and so forth to do that kind of stuff. Look, I don't agree with Steve Vai here. Steve Vai is in blabbermouth.net saying, oh, it'll be great, it'll be awesome, it'll just be the greatest thing, Axl singing. I just don't see it. You know, they had two of the most iconic singers who were, again, in the same vein, and this goes to a lot of the other bands I talk about. When they replace a singer who doesn't sound like the guy who was singing before, I just can't cope with that. It's this guy isn't even close, all right? He's not. He's got a different sound. Yes, he sings high notes, and I'm sure he's very respectful of the material in the sense that he reveres it and understands that AC/DC has a certain sound. But you're playing like mashup here. You're mashing two bands together that don't belong together. They just don't fit the same template. As a hard rock fan, maybe you're saying, well, wait a minute. You know, I've got a bunch of AC/DC albums over here. I've got some Guns N' Roses over here. What's the problem? You just merge them and you've got one great supergroup at that point. Well, you don't, because you lose the sound of Brian Johnson. You lose that Bon Scott thing that was happening, you know, prior to Brian. You lose the legacy of all of that, and you introduce this new entity that just sounds completely different and doesn't belong. It just doesn't belong. Now, I know, you know, Axl said, okay, you know, I'll tour with these guys and I'll help them finish the tour. And Angus seems to be writing new material, or maybe he already has that material. Like I say, go into the studio and record with Brian Johnson if you can. Brian's been out at a few gigs. If you go into the studio, it isn't the same hearing loss issue. You're wearing headphones, and I think he could probably hack that. Either that, or seriously go look for a singer who's in a tribute band or something that can sound like these guys. There's got to be somebody somewhere in the world, maybe a little bit younger too, somebody that can keep the legacy alive, because it looks as though AC/DC is set up to be like Kiss and Chicago and all these other groups that are now talking about, hey, we don't need any original members to continue on. We can just keep the brand alive and recruit people that will play the music and sing and honor it and maybe record some new material and so forth. And then we'll oversee it, or people who used to know us once we're gone will oversee it. I mean, this is the future, folks. It's a little scary, but it was inevitable because of mortality. Here's the deal. Not a fan of Axl and AC/DC, but if you call it Axl DC, I might be okay with it, because at least you're acknowledging that it's not AC/DC. Call it Axl DC, call it Axl Angus, double A, something like that, but please, oh please, do not call it AC/DC. All right, that's my opinion. Opinions are very interesting. You know what they say about them. I'll be back with more real music in real time for real people just like you, just like me. We'll do it again real soon.